I was backpacking a few weekends ago through a forest that had been burned down. And this is a natural cycle for most forests. They're needed for new life to grow. And that's sort of how I think about the US right now. It could be a drastic shift and change that will come out better on the other side.
Now everyone has a role to play in it.
After hopefully COVID passes, we'll know where to target our efforts.
Everybody stop and think about what the world is happening right now.
It just reinforces that leading with empathy and compassion is most important.
It'll get better. It'll always get better. And I think it's already getting better.
You never know what life is going to throw at you. So I think it's always important to keep that in mind, but also don't be afraid.
We don't have fear. We have fear, but we don't let it keep us from trying.
If you take it positively, there's positive outcome.
There's nothing that can really keep people down.
I can just move forward to the direction with the hope.
Back when I was in India, I mentored a group of very passionate young girls. These are the children who are living in slums. Their parents can hardly afford their meals, let alone education. I mentored them on how they can bring up an idea of their own, and then they take it all the way through the entire entrepreneurship cycle. They came up with a beautiful idea of developing a mobile app which will allow women to find small part-time jobs and earn some small livelihood for themselves. A lot of women who are caught up in being housewives, they are really eager to build a life of financial independence for them, but they don't have the means. I worked really hard to break myself out of that mold of life, which meant that I worked really hard in my studies, became the first female in my family, joint family of over 50 people, to get a master's and then get a job in a multinational like Adobe. Also working on launching a product from scratch within Adobe and leading a team of more than 20 engineers and building that product into a $30 million product in a short span of 3 years.
In 2018, I had the opportunity to go to the state capitol and advocate for a new Senate bill which would end the transfer of teens under the age of 16 to adult institutions. What the Senate bill does for them is that it gives them another opportunity to learn from their mistakes and stay on the right path of being better for themselves as an individual, but their family and their community. And in my community, that's what we need the most.
Oh my God, my mom is so
My mom
beautiful.
came here at 24 and she worked and she has given up that and being so selfless. My dad only went to school to learn how to read and write. He was out by 2nd grade because he started working when he was 7. My professional goals, I do want to be a business owner, but not just of one business, but I want to have multiple modes of income. My ultimate goal is to build generational wealth. I want to elevate it to the next level, and if they didn't have an education and they didn't have the opportunities I have now, the opportunities for me, how I see it, are endless. There's so many things I could do.
In kindergarten, my teacher would say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And everyone in the class would be like, "I'm a firefighter, I want to be an astronaut." And I always said a mom. And it seemed like from the responses of the adults that I got in the room, that answer didn't fit with the mold. So the mold was either one or the other, but I think that balance between finding a career and having a family is super important.
So something that I actually really want to do, and I'm hoping to connect with my mentor about this, is to conduct a series of informational interviews about women who either took time off to spend time with children in their early years and returned to the workforce, were working mothers from the beginning, to show other women how it can be done, because there's not just one right way.
I'm going to be a senior at Santa Clara University this coming fall. Ever since my first fall quarter at Santa Clara, I've been involved with my business fraternity, Alpha Kappa Psi. With all of the people that I've gotten to meet through there, I actually received a full-time offer from Deloitte in the business tax services branch in Denver. I'm definitely still that same girl from kindergarten who wanted to have a family, but I'm really excited now that I will be able to start work so that I can better prepare myself for that future moment when I get to choose both.
In 2016, my daughter, who was 5, and I went to domestic violence victim shelter. And from then, we fought hard to find our freedom and safety. While I was fighting hard, I could launch my product brand in South Korea. At the time, I wanted to know how I could control the cash or how I could make a profit. That's how I come to the MBA at the end. And it was part of the process that I can be more free. I worked really hard to get an internship. I actually applied 521 times. So I could get 2 internships. One was in Armanino and the other one was at EY. Right now, I got an offer from Ernst & Young, transfer pricing team. So I may start next fall. What I'm dreaming is I want to learn how I can help others who are suffering financial crisis, like I did before.
In 2015, I moved to Kenya to work for Sanivation, a social enterprise that tackles the sanitation crisis. When looking at those sort of opportunities of how do we fix all the problems we've learned in the US versus how do we take what we've learned here and do it better, where people are doing it for the first time, where infrastructure is desperately needed. When I left, our main focus was partnering with the government to build basically wastewater treatment plants. There aren't wastewater treatment plants in most of Kenya because they're expensive. We are making a really affordable model by turning the waste into a firewood replacement that then is good for the environment, and we would sell to cover the cost of treating the waste, ultimately helping the environment and getting people healthier and safer and protecting them from diarrheal disease. There's definitely an aspect of seeing climate change as this existential threat, and also this aspect of environmental justice, and everyone deserves a clean world to live in. So I think there's part of me that's thinking about, do I want to work internationally, domestically, and ideally find a career path that lets me have impact. So it's an evolving thought process for me. And hopefully at Stanford, while getting my MBA, I'll meet lots of new folks who will challenge me to think differently, push me on conclusions I already have, and help me come to new ones.
In Vietnam, I grew up by myself. My mom, she working very hard to support the whole family. And so I picked the school I want to go to, and I do my own homework, and I just like on my own a lot of time. When I finished school, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of international peers, and they are same my age, and like I deliver the same work, but there's some benefit I couldn't get. And there's some certain level that I couldn't get because of where I came from. So that's the reason why I feel like I need to get out of here and then go to the States. I work night job, weekend job, just to stay afloat. What helped me to be so determined? I think it is just like because I work hard and I believe like what is my values, what I can deliver, what I can bring into the tables. And I finally landed a job at Recipients. Now I'm currently a senior financial analyst. I'm super happy. I also be in school and volunteer as a treasurer for a nonprofit library.
Being a first-generation student was a very daunting task. I'm the first one, not even out of my siblings. My parents didn't go to college. I really, really wanted to go, and I was dedicated to finding a scholarship because there was no means of paying for college. So I really leaned into one of my biggest assets, which was softball. I used that to get a scholarship to St. Mary's. It really has impacted the way that I look at life. You learn that anything is possible as long as you try your hardest and you persevere. I started coaching my senior year of high school for youth softball. I honestly look at them like little sisters, and I never want them to have a doubt in their mind that a woman can succeed in whichever field that they put themselves in. My sophomore year of college, I actually took financial accounting, and I took it as a regular requirement, not something that I was interested in, and just fell in love with it. I just graduated from St. Mary's in May and decided to return to do my master's in July. I start as an audit associate with Sensiva San Filippo in September.
We live in an apartment, and in December 2017, my family and I received an eviction notice. We had to pay for a rent increase. I took some money out of my college savings, which I saved since I was 16, for whenever there would be an emergency, and this was the time. My family, one of the underlying struggles we had, and I think we will continue to have, is the lack of knowledge of what's next. I want to increase that financial awareness that is available to everyone. I'm an accounting major. My goal is to go into public accounting, CPA, and eventually I would like to exit into either life science, healthcare, or nonprofit industry. And I say this because I have a lot of volunteer experience and I just love working with the community. I worked with beach cleanups, with the youth. I work with disadvantaged minorities in the communities. I love being with my community and my people. We're all trying to help each other just to make it. Going forward, I would like to work with having employee network groups in companies, starting organizations with companies, partnerships where, you know, they reach out to the communities that they're located in and help out the community, that the people who are disadvantaged in those communities.
In the Asian culture, it's like normally you want to marry to a guy and then he is the host of your family, and your decision need to follow your husband's. That's not what I want. So it's better like just for me to chase my own path and make decision for myself. I think it's like I'm financially independent and also be capable to take care of my son. I attended my college and study in aerospace engineering. And when after that, I feel like I still need to pursue my graduate degree. That's why I applied university, Clemson University at US, and then come to study for my PhD. I'm working for Tesla and started that in 2018. Working for finance, it's like also the engineering R&D investment related stuff, and also the business operation of some cost centers. Autonomous driving, it's like a hot topic, like how they change the world. I'm very curious about that and want to be one of them to make that happen.
I grew up volunteering at the local hospital, and while I was in that hospital, my grandma developed pneumonia, which resulted in her passing away at that very hospital that I was volunteering at because of complications with electronic health records and knowing what medication she had been on at other hospitals that were not transferred correctly. For me, that was a moment where I took a step back and thought, well, if somewhere where I was so proud to be volunteering and helping out at can't really have access to electronic health records that are processed in a seamless way, that just doesn't make sense to me as far as how healthcare systems should run and how people who genuinely need good patient care should get access to that care. So for me, that's when I really knew I wanted to be involved with healthcare. But the best thing that I can do for myself is understand how the financial markets work, and more specifically, understanding how healthcare institutions are working with financial players to get access to the capital that they need. And so for me, if I can get to a point in my life where I'm confident in my financial capabilities and that knowledge, then I could hopefully use what I know there and direct it towards funding the healthcare startups that are more focused on technological integration.
My father really always emphasized on education, and he told me that I'm giving you all that I can, but you have to go out and, achieve your dreams. I moved in August of 2019. Everything was quite easy. I ended up getting admission into the University of San Francisco up until the point where I had to get my visa. My visa got rejected twice before I finally got it. I had landed my dream internship, but then COVID came. It was a hiring freeze at their company. It was really hard for me, but then I just buckled up and I started sending in my applications again, sending messages to a lot of recruiters with my head held high, with hope, but also with this greater confidence in myself. So this is the picture I'd taken on the first day of my internship at Inovalon. They've also extended me an offer to continue with the customer success operations team in the fall. If you're putting in all your hard work, if you're giving your 100%, What will stop you from achieving all that you've dreamt of?
Young people, like especially like my generation, talk about such big issues that are going on. It just gives you a sense of like, we got this.